Yo, what up, guys? We got the beautiful Miss Jessi Jackalope joining us all the way from the UK, and we're gonna talk about the Gennady Golovkin Kell Brook aftermath.
Fantastic. It's great to be back. Thanks so much for inviting me again, Slim. It's great to be here.
So, what did you think about the fight? I thought Kell Brook, he gave a valiant effort, and he really hurt Triple G, and he hit Triple G with a huge uppercut. Triple G, he even lifted off his feet at one point. I was like, wow. I was starting to get worried about Triple G.
Absolutely. I think the way you just put it, a valiant effort, is the perfect way of summarising Kell Brook's performance. I think many of us, even in the UK, were not expecting Brook to go beyond the sort of mid-rounds with Golovkin. But I felt, sort of all circumstances considered, he looked really good. He looked solid at the weight. He was fast. He was active. He looked durable, until sort of sustaining the injury, obviously. But I thought sort of he could be very proud of his performance. We were proud of his performance. And credit to Golovkin for the excellent win. So I thought it was a great fight while it lasted, actually. I thought it was an excellent fight. I think both fighters won, more fans on both sides of the pond kind of thing. So I was impressed. I really enjoyed the fight. And if anyone in the US didn't catch it, I would encourage them to do so. I thought it was great.
Oh yeah, shout out to the UK. I had no idea you guys was lit. That lit. That stadium, oh man. Shout out to Eddie Hearn. Thank you, Eddie Hearn. We always say thank you, Al Heyman. Thank you, Eddie Hearn. Thank you, HBO. The whole event. Wow. From the entrance when Triple G came out to DMX. What's my name? Oh man. The whole roof almost blew off. And Kell Brook, he came out to all of the lights. It was just a well put together show. Epic. I really enjoyed it.
I'm glad you think so. That's the O2 for you, actually. That's the, it's one of those things that when people come across, especially from the United States, where you're accustomed to getting a great show, I think it can blow some people away just how passionate fans are here. It's one of the reasons why, it's quite popular for sports people to come and play in the UK is because of the fans. The fans are really get behind their sort of show. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. I did too. Incredible atmosphere. Incredible.
Yeah, I got to admit, you guys are way better fans than the US fans. I had no idea you guys can reach that level. But getting back to the fight, a lot of people, a lot of Golovkin detractors say he got exposed by Kell Brook. What did you think about it? You thought he got exposed, or?
Oh no! I mean, it's one of those things. I could see, I can see how detractors would be able to sort of twist it to that extent. In that, even I felt I'm not a Golovkin hater whatsoever. If you watch my videos, you'll know I'm very balanced towards most fighters, to be honest. And I did think though that he looked flatter than normal. He looked a little bit more flat-footed and easier to hit than normal. But I think that was sort of credit to Brook's mobility, really, and his movement. And I know there've been some rumors. I'm not sure how true they are, but that Golovkin had been sick in the run-up to the fight. But to be honest, I didn't think he sort of looked quite as aggressive as he normally would. But you couldn't really say he was exposed in terms of that. His performance was very effective. Whether you thought it was watchable or exciting or not is another matter. But his performance was incredibly effective. He cut off the ring, landed some unbelievably damaging shots, and got the win within sort of 4 or 5 rounds. So I don't think you could count that as being an exposing fight, if that kind of makes sense. So not for me, but I know a couple of people were sort of disappointed in his performance, but you can't really argue with the result.
And like you were saying in the previous collab, Triple G, the standards are held so high for Triple G.
Yeah,
they see him like a god. If he get hit, it's like, wow, we can't believe Triple G, he just got hit, man. We never seen him get hit before. So for Kell Brook, and people got to understand, Kell Brook was an undefeated fighter. Never been beat before. Never been knocked out. Never been stopped. So for Golovkin to actually stop Kell Brook, I think it was a huge feat.
I agree. It's a big deal. I mean, Brook is very respected here. His little name is Special K. He's a special fighter. He's very well rounded. He's very skilled. So it is a big deal to have been able to beat him. I mean, I know the big criticism obviously was how much he was coming up in weight. But if you saw the fight, you'll know that he looked very solid at the weight. He looked very athletic. Looked very comfortable at the weight. So obviously the criticisms afterwards that he was too light for the fight didn't really fly with me in a way. He looked so good at the weight, even though obviously he took some real punishment. But so I think for his first fight at middleweight, Golovkin was a heavy, favourite, obviously. But yeah, I think it's a shame that Golovkin is held to those kinds of standards, because actually it was, all things considered, it was a good win. You know, it was an effective performance.
Yeah, and it's just the haters just admitting how good they actually think Golovkin is. Because if he get hit, it's like it's astonishing to them. They can't believe it. They're in complete shock if he gets hit or tagged or hurt.
It's true,
Then
and interestingly, actually, Golovkin has always been, you know, he's always been hittable, in my opinion. He's always been hittable. He's just incredibly durable. He's just very, very resilient. I mean, there's a picture really doing the rounds in the UK, especially with his Golovkin's face flattened against Brook's glove. And the fact that he withstood that and was perfectly, you know, sort of all right. He said afterwards that he didn't feel any power at all, but he took some heavy shots, and that's just the way he is. I think he has a sky-high pain threshold. So he is hittable, but he just, his resilience means that it's not really necessary to address his defense because he's so durable, you know.
yeah, he can take a shot. He has a great chin. And getting back to the punishment that Kell Brook took, do you think the stoppage was prematurely? Because Chris Eubank said that he thought Kell Brook should have took his punishment and took his whooping like a man.
In the ring, you don't look for your corner to try and end the fight. The only person that's supposed to be stopping a fight is the referee. The corner is there to help you, you know, clean your cuts up and put your Vaseline on, not to throw in a towel. You know, if the going gets tough, you stay in there and you take your beating like a man. That's what we sign up for. And that's all that was meant when I said my corner don't own towels. They would never throw in the towel for me. They'd let me try and win, try and get my way out of a sticky situation, because just because you're getting hurt doesn't mean you can't come back and win.
Right, it's a hard business, and that's what we're in here for. So, you know, to persevere, that's the key thing. You know, damage, you cannot expect to get anywhere near greatness if you're not prepared to actually accept damage, okay? So the fans who love boxing, we are not fans, we are in it, we are doing it. You are not like us, you don't think like us. Hurt is good, damage is good, okay? I mean, and I use that as a term within the inner circle. You know, we have to be that way. We cannot be like, oh, I'm getting hurt and so I'm going to quit. You can't make greatness like that.
Man, and I thought that was pretty childish of Eubank, considering he put a guy in the hospital. Nick Blackwell put the guy in a coma, and for him to say that, I thought it was irresponsible. What you thought about the stoppage?
I mean, I'm very inclined to agree with that, to be honest. I thought some of his comments to give him the benefit of the doubt, I think a lot of his comments came out wrong. I think he was trying to criticize Golovkin more than Brook, but I think they did come across very badly and quite irresponsibly. I can see why people were disappointed, because actually, effectively, the towel came in after Brook's best round.
So you thought the stoppage was prematurely as well, huh?
Well, not quite. I think it could have gone on for a maximum of another round before he would have succumbed to his injuries anyway, and it would have had to be stopped. So actually, I have to say that I thought the stoppage really, when I thought about it, although my jaw dropped, but the second after, I thought, yeah, actually, this is risking Kell Brook's, not only his career, but his eyesight, you know. So I couldn't really fault a very experienced trainer and a trainer who puts his fighters first. I couldn't really fault the stoppage, to be honest. So I think it could have gone on for a maximum of another round. And to be honest, Golovkin would have capitalized on that injury to the extent where Brook might not have recovered. So no, I can't really fault the stoppage. I can understand why people were disappointed to an extent, but I can't personally fault it, no.
And I think it was revealed that Brook suffered a broken orbital bone, fractured eye socket. So, like you said, if he would have went on, it probably would have been one round at best. He could have made it another round.
Yeah, absolutely. And Golovkin is like a shark, you know, as soon as he smelled blood, he'd obviously, as a fighter, he would try and capitalize on that injury. And eyes are so fragile in the ring. You know, they're so easy to damage, and permanently so, that I wouldn't have felt comfortable continuing watching the fight for anything more than another round, you know, a single round. So I can't really fault the stoppage from my point of view, but I know a lot of people would disagree. So.
And like you said, Kell Brook showed heart, because he could have easily just threw in the towel. I believe it was the first round. Golovkin hit him with a huge shot, and I thought he was just going to just quit right there, but he kept fighting. He came back strong. So if he was going to quit, he would have quit early when he got hit with that huge shot. So all props to Kell Brook.
Yeah, I agree with you. He recovered very well from that. It's a huge shot, and he sort of pulled himself together and got on and performed, I thought, well, considering, you know, under the circumstances, I thought he performed very well.
So after